And we got to be honest as well. The Fever are cooked. And if you guys agree, leave a like, lads, on the video and on the stream. Lads, we are so close to 1,000 likes. We are 130 off, and I've stayed on for all this. The Fever are cooked. The Fever are down to one guard. One recognized guard in Lexi Hull. DeWanna Bonner should probably start point guard the next game. Like, I don't think DeWanna Bonner is a point guard. I think she's probably going to start point guard the next game. Like, it is more than likely that DeWanna Bonner is going to start point guard. Our 6'4" wing is probably going to start point guard. And, well, she probably should start point guard. Kelsey Mitchell is going to start point guard. And Kelsey Mitchell is, like, it's just a black hole. She's a black hole. Sid Colson, injured. Sophie Cunningham, injured. Caitlin Clark, injured. And there's no answer. There's no answer. Like, I'm trying to think, who is the best, any good American guard overseas? Like, what? I'm just trying to think, who is the best American guard in EuroLeague? That's still there. Who's the best? Yeah, it has to be an American guard because you can't get a European in on a hardship. Who is the best American guard that's still there? And please do not say Deja Kelly or Serena Sundell, or you better not say Bree Hall. Grace Berger is the best American guard that's still left. Grace Berger is the best American guard. Like, and it is crazy that they might actually have to bring back Grace Berger. Like, Grace Berger is the best. Celeste Taylor. In fairness, Ari McDonald. There are a couple of players. But they wanted these players. They could have signed them anyway. The closest thing to an answer is Ari McDonald. Ari McDonald from the Sparks last year came off a season where she averaged 8.6 points per game. But to do that, because 4 players aren't injured because they went out with 11. Because they went out with 11 players, they can't sign her to a hardship. So they're probably going to have to cut Bree Turner to get her. But she doesn't play anyway. She sucks anyway. But the closest thing to an answer is Ari McDonald. Like, that's the closest thing to an answer. 100 times better than Serena Sundell. That's the closest thing to an answer. Maybe, and I mean maybe, Grace Berger. But they're not going to sign Grace Berger. Grace Berger is the best option because she's 6 foot tall. She's versatile. She can play a bit of defense. Yes, she gets cooked by point guards, but she's a little bit switchable. Bring Ali Quigley, who's just had a kid. The problem is now, because they were dumb in the offseason and refused to recruit in Europe and signed Bree Turner and Sid Colson to inflated contracts. So they had to go, because they signed them to inflated contracts, they couldn't look in Europe, and now they can't look to Europe now. They have to wait till after Eurobasket, and after Eurobasket is not good enough. Like, after Eurobasket is not good enough for this team. It really isn't. Because by the time Eurobasket's done, we're at the end of June, and this team is already essentially out of playoff contention. If the Mercury found some in Europe, why can't Indiana? They can't now because Eurobasket is about to happen, and you can't sign a European player. You can't sign a non-American, as far as I'm aware, to a hardship because of visa issues. You can't sign him to a hardship. They won't get a visa for a hardship contract. They're cooked. Jaylen Brown, a point guard. What are we doing? Jaylen Brown averaged 6 points per game in Russia. What are we doing? People are just shouting names. People are doing the exact thing that led the Fever into this position right now. Looking at big names, looking at names who are decent in college, and looking at names who used to be good in the WNBA 5 years ago, and giving them big contracts. That is what got the Fever in this position now. It's what got the Fever in this position right now. Making dumb signings. Why? Because Jaylen Brown played a good preseason game 2 years ago. Jaylen Brown was a 7 point per game scorer in a bad Russian league. Anastasia Kosu was better in Russia, and she can't get off the bench for the Lynx. Serena Sundell is a project player. Serena Sundell is going to be available in the summer because no one's going to sign Serena Sundell because she can't dribble past the halfway line at the WNBA level. Serena Sundell cannot dribble past the halfway line. Bree Hall is closer to a power forward than a point guard. You might as well have Aaliyah Boston playing the point guard if you're going to bring in Bree Hall. The Indiana Fever are screwed because this front office were dumb in the summer. And by the way, you can't tell me that there weren't videos on this channel. You can't tell me, and I mean this, they're not looking at my channel, but you cannot tell me that there weren't people talking about these European players. You can't tell me that on this channel, if you watched, that Monique Okoa-Makani was a surprise. You can't pretend that Janelle Salone or Carla Lake were surprises if you watch this channel. You can't say there were surprises. How is it that an Irish guy who watches a little bit of basketball and talks about it seems to know more about the sport of basketball than people getting paid millions of dollars to run a basketball team? All they did was sign people who they thought the fans would get excited by. How is it that all those players for the Mercury, by the way, I didn't realize Westbell would be this good. How is it that I knew what Kitty Alaxa could do because I watched her play against the Irish national team. I knew what Okoa-Makani could do because I watched the French league. I watched all of these leagues. I knew what Salone could do because I watched her play against Ireland and I watched her in EuroLeague. How is it that I know this, but the WNBA GMs, again, Alexa Hell didn't know that one. I'll put my hand up and say I didn't know that one. Westbell was an office worker. But why is it that I knew exactly the types of players that the Fever could have done with, and people are like, oh, why did they not do that in hindsight? I said it. I made multiple videos about these players. Why is it that a random Irish guy who just loves the sport of basketball can know this, and a front office staff who get paid millions of dollars decided to go out with 11 players with no intention of paying one of them and paying Sid Colson and Bree Turner 10 grand each more than they should have gotten? If you paid them 10 grand less, and by the way, Erica Wheeler's making 20 grand less than Sid Colson. She's making 20 grand less than Sid Colson. Serena Sundell, I was mad when they didn't draft her. I agree I was mad when they didn't draft her. But I watched Serena Sundell not get past the halfway line against Connecticut Sun. I watched her not get past the halfway line. This team literally they signed foreign talent for years with the exception of Julie Alamont. The best foreign talent in the world all wants to go to the WNBA now. There's a big difference between the best foreign talent not wanting to go to WNBA and them choosing to go to WNBA. Janelle Salone, this is a team, and it is like in the 90s. It is like being the teams that took over Drazen, that took Kukoc, that took Divac. This is the European, again, these top players in Europe, they're not brilliant, but they're way better than the bench players. They want a fake championship experience. DeWanna Bonner was enough. But you had to get Bonner, Turner, and Colson. You had to get all three. Bonner, Howard, Turner, and Colson. DeWanna Bonner, Howard, cool. There was no need to get Turner and Colson. No need.